Hello and welcome to part one of the Training Financial Sustainability for Youth-Run programs. We're excited for you to join us and learn in this session. I'd like to welcome you and introduce you to the National Training and Technical Assistance Center, commonly called NTAC, that is hosting this training. We are funded by SAMHSA and are grateful for this support. A disclaimer that the content prepared does not speak directly for the administration. NTAC is a national training and technical assistance center designed with a multidisciplinary team. There are many partners, including expert consultants and youth and family advisors who guide our work to support implementation of children's mental health services and systems in your communities. Our goal is for all children, youth, young adults, and families with emotional or behavioral health needs to access evidence-based treatment and recovery services in a well-coordinated system of care. The supports we offer are available to a variety of audiences, including each of you listening to this training, and we encourage you to consider reaching out to access the other services that we provide that are all available at no cost to you and include everything from products, resources, toolkits, to individual consultation and training sessions like this. Today, your content is brought to you by myself and my colleague Jasmine. We're both with Youth Move National. We'll introduce ourselves briefly as we prepare to jump into content today. So my name is Johanna Bergan. I serve as the Executive Director of Youth Move National. MOVE stands for Motivating Others Through Voices of Experience. And the work that we do at Youth Move is to elevate youth voices of lived experience and to support the implementation and sustainability of youth-run programs and organizations across the country. This includes working with our robust chapter network, supporting youth engagement within system of care efforts and other youth-serving spaces. We're really excited to bring the expertise we have from our own experience running youth programming, as well as providing technical assistance to you all today. And I would share that one of the reasons that I'm called to be in this work is from my own lived experience receiving mental health services and the opportunity that I've been given in my home community to share my lived experience and expertise in order to create positive change. I'd love for you to meet my colleague Jasmine before we jump into content today. Jasmine?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine Boatwright. I am a youth programs coordinator here with Youth Move National. Previous to my work with Youth Move National, I was able to serve as a youth coordinator for Wayne County System of Care. So I bring to you a host of system of care experience and experience with coordinating youth-run programs and youth groups. Today's sessions are really designed for youth programs and youth-run organizations. When I say youth-run organizations, I mean organizations that are really managed and controlled by young people with lived experience. Youth-run organizations and programs usually operate in different ways and offer diverse programming. The aim is to really make sure that programs and systems are youth-driven. And when I mean youth-driven, I'm talking about where youth and young adults work to educate on mental health with little guidance from adults, but with full support from adults. In this image that you see on your screen, these highlight 6 areas where young people have done a lot of great work. These are called youth-driven purpose areas. Youth-driven purpose areas include recreation and peer networking, and that's where you'll see young people collaborating with other youth groups, taking trips, maybe having Facebook watch parties, game nights, you name it. Other purpose areas include things like community involvement and advocacy, where young people are advocating on a local and state level, holding community service events, participate in advisory boards and committees, just to name a few. The youth-driven purpose areas document that Youth Move National has created that really gives you a good breakdown of all of the purpose areas is linked here in this PowerPoint. And it'll, like I said, it'll give you additional details on the different purpose areas that also includes peer service delivery, personal development and empowerment, youth voice development, leadership, and social marketing and awareness building. Today, our session objectives include just having a working knowledge of what sustainability is and what it means for youth-run programming, identifying what foundational documents is needed to really support the sustainability of youth-run programs, understanding the importance of evaluation and sustainability. So what are those things that you really need to track and the things that will really help you improve your services as you go along? And then 4, just learning about the importance of building and documenting partnerships to support sustainability. This is a lot of work and we know we can't do it all by ourselves. What is sustainability? Sustainability usually occurs when there's youth-driven leadership, some adaptability, and some program capacity. When I say youth-driven leadership, I mean where there's young people that are advocates, coordinators, supportive adults who are all engaged in the decision-making process that meets the needs of youth with lived experience. Everyone's clear on their mission and vision, motivates others to achieve the mission and vision, and take action when it comes to decision-making. When I speak of adaptability, this is the ability to adjust. We know that things change rapidly in this work, and the ability to adjust as supports change, resources change, funds may change, and program capacity. So as we speak about program capacity, I'm speaking about the capacity of youth leaders to kind of manage and leverage all resources in a way that promotes the fullness of the organization's mission and improves the outcomes of youth in the population that young people are serving. Just throwing out a reminder that all resources are not necessarily financial. So really thinking outside of the box of what things could be beneficial to your youth-run organization. Again, there is a document linked in this slide, the Rocking Your Youth Movement. This guide is a great guide that really helps you think about what are some things that you would need to have in place, those foundational things, in order to really run a successful youth-run program. So make sure you check this out. All right, we're jumping into logic models. So one of those important documents that I was just talking about was a logic model. And this foundational document is important because it really helps you define what your goals, activities, and outcomes that you're looking for with your youth-run organization are. It really helps you map it out. Most times we use logic models when we are just starting a new program or looking to duplicate a program that's already existing and maybe doing well. When I was a youth coordinator, we updated our logic model like every 2 years, along with our strategic planning process where we created our strategic plans and our work plans for the year. As a way to make sure that we stayed aligned with our mission and vision. What are the things that we created our youth group for? What was the need that we were trying to address, and are we still in line? So logic models really help with those types of things. Some resources that are really cool, and I suggest you all look at when looking to do a logic model is definitely these linked here on this slide, which is why do we do logic models? Logic models for leaders, which is a webinar. There's an example logic model here linked, as well as a blank logic model template that you can kind of go in and, begin to explore what that may look like for your organization. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Johanna, where we can take a deeper dive into logic modeling.
Thanks for sharing all of that great information about logic models, Jasmine. Today, we're not going to dive into the details of how to create logic models. Those instructions and ideas are included in the resources that Jasmine's gone over. But I do want to give you a chance to take a look at what a logic model might look like. So this is an example of a logic model template and shows you the key components. This is a logic model based on a theory of change framework, Particularly for those of you working in system of care communities, this is a frame that will likely map well onto the implementation change that the larger system of care effort is focused on. And so oftentimes youth will organize their logic model in this way. And as Jasmine said, there are many times that a logic model might be useful. Of course, it makes sense when we're starting a new program, but it can also really make sense when we're trying to scale or replicate our program to a larger community to meet more young people's needs, or when we're taking a pause, maybe some sort of significant resource has changed within our youth programming, and we might want to take a breath in order to determine what is our mission, our guiding vision, and what work are we doing now in order to achieve what outcomes. At Youth Move, we believe it's very important for young people to be answering the questions in developing logic models. So we would propose that you use a youth facilitation model where young people are doing the needs assessments, contributing to the visioning, and making the decisions about what strategies are going to be used to reach our desired outcomes. The other thing that I would add is that the examples that we provided to you of logic models show that they can be used both for an overall organization and also for a specific program. So at Youth Move, we have an organizational logic model, and we also have logic models that guide certain components of our portfolio, like a logic model specifically for our youth peer support services. So know that you might end up developing multiple logic models throughout your work. Jasmine also referenced the importance of strategic planning. And so having a logic model that guides your end results, a strategic plan is also going to help map how you're going to leverage the resources you have now and the resources that you'd like to obtain in the future in order to accomplish your mission. Strategic planning is incredibly invaluable to guiding the direction of your work. Particularly for those of you that are in youth coordinator positions, you may find yourself asking yourself, what should I be doing? There's so much we could be doing. What should I be prioritizing? And having a youth-led strategic plan in front of you can guide those important prioritization decisions. We are offering some resources here if you'd like to consider developing a strategic plan because you don't have one, or because you've had a strategic plan and you've accomplished those goals and you're looking to answer the question of what comes next. Strategic plan should be designed around very specific goals. We suggest considering a SMARTY goal process, and SMARTY goals challenge you to ensure that all of your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, inclusive, and equitable. And there's some example resources for you all to consider using here. And I would pause for just a moment and talk about the importance for us to challenge you to develop things like logic models and strategic planning is that these are foundational documents that are going to allow you to flourish in a financially sustainable way. Particularly, we'll talk about the importance of partnerships in a moment. Logic models are oftentimes a really great one-page document to bring with you when you're meeting with a new partner to describe very clearly who you are as an organization and where you're going. And that can open up an incredibly powerful partnership conversation. The other area that we want you to think about in sort of the journey of sustainability within youth-friend programming is the role of evaluation. And we evaluate the work that we're doing for many reasons, right? One is to show, are we accomplishing the goals that we've laid out in our logic model and our strategic plan? We can also collect evaluation data in order to inform our decision making. So every time a young person is sharing their thoughts and feedback with us, that can be considered a form of evaluation and can inform the actions that we take in the future. It's also important to collect data, feedback, input about the programming that you're offering so you're able to tell the story of the impact that you're making in young people's lives. And that will be directly connected to some of the content we cover in session 2, where we think about the importance of storytelling while we're seeking funding. Very briefly, if evaluation is a new area for you to be considering, we suggest that you create an evaluation plan. Again, this is a perfect opportunity to have the young people in your community answering the questions on the right side of this screen. So what information do we want to find out? Young people can be the key answers or the key source of answers for that. What do we need to know more about our activities in order to decide what to do next, what to do more of, what to do less of? How do we want to capture that data, right? It might not be a really formal external evaluator doing a bunch of interviews. It might be a simple roses and thorns activity that you do at the end of each of your youth group activities, and you jot some notes on flip chart paper and document those later to be your evaluation. The level of formality of this is going to depend on the style and culture of your programming. And then what resources do you need in order to evaluate? Do you have those resources in-house, or do you need to develop a partnership to expand your resources? Evaluation exists on a cycle. It's a circle on purpose. We're doing something to support our evaluation all of the time, whether we're planning to evaluate, doing our evaluation, analyzing the input that we've received, or bringing the evaluation results back into the update of a logic model or the update of a strategic plan to guide future decision making. And again, we are sharing resources throughout on this slide deck, and will be housed with the recording of this webinar for you all to check out at your own leisure. Jasmine, can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of partnership development?
Definitely, as we said throughout, partnerships are key to this work. Key partnership steps that we should consider when we're kind of thinking about partnering with other organizations, groups, or communities. One is identifying the core needs. So what are the core needs of your group? Thinking about the fact that partnerships are really designed to address a specific need or ongoing operations. So, does your group need support as it relates to funding or fiscal management, right? So we are looking to apply for a grant. We need someone to help us manage the grant funds. That's something super understandable. And oftentimes partners help with things like that as it relates to youth-run organizations. Are you looking for partnerships to support with activities? Maybe partnerships will help increase your numbers, or are you looking for more infrastructure support? Really thinking about, as you are seeking for partners, what is it that you are looking for partners for? What is it that your group needs? Having a clear focus on your primary needs really helps guide conversations as it relates to what partnerships may look like, the amount of time that needs to be invested, what resources and what ways that you all can kind of support each other. Identifying partners is one of my favorite parts. One of my favorite steps is because you're able to, do some outreach to people and find people who are excited to see you, excited to for the work that you're doing, that are clear and consistent, understand the purpose of the work that you're doing, and understand that the value that you bring. And you all are able, it's a mutual thing. So you are able to understand the value that the different partners bring to the table, as well as those partners are able to understand, the things that you bring to the table. And so that could be different things. Jump into that later. But building partnerships, right? Another key step. So starting with the end in mind, what does youth-driven leadership team hope to achieve? What are you aiming to do? Is there an impact in your community that you're aiming to see after a certain amount of time? Are your partners aligned with do you all have similar mission, visions, and goals? Are there ways for you to support each other, as I mentioned earlier, in different activities, or supporting each other with funding or things like that? And then the final key step to partnerships, which is one of the most important, is maintaining good systems of tracking and cultivating the partnerships to ensure that there's financial and time commitment that do not weigh out the benefits. So making sure that it's still that you're tracking your partnerships and your activities to make sure that you're not feeling like you're doing more work than the benefit that you're getting out of it. Am I missing anything, Johanna?
I think you covered the key steps in a really great way, Jasmine. I'm reminded, right, of the importance of bringing others into our work in order to accomplish our mission. Young people can dream all of the change that we want in the world, and young people can also ask and challenge others to join us in the work in creating change. And that's all the driving force, right, as we think about why it's so important to develop key partnerships.
Thank you for that. So I spoke a little bit about documenting your partnerships. There's ways that you can document your partnerships. One is like a linkage agreement. A linkage agreement is really something that really just sets the terms between your organization and your partners on how you're going to work together to amplify youth voice and partner. Linkage agreements, some of the things that we have here as resources for you guys is a linkage agreement template, a linkage agreement activities. And this document I feel will probably be most helpful as you begin to learn about linkage agreements, because it tells you what are some activities that are commonly listed. So maybe, like I spoke about previously around, maybe there's support when it comes to infrastructure. Maybe you're documenting a partnership where your partner supports you with space or access to technology. Those things are all listed there for your reference, as well as there is an overview of instructions on how to create a linkage agreement. Another way to document partnerships, and one that I'm very familiar with, is creating an MOU, also known as a Memorandum of Understanding. This is a more formal agreement between two partners or parties. It's not legally binding, but it does give more of a formal signal of the willingness for both partners to move forward with a more formal contract if needed. A memorandum of agreement is a useful placeholder that outlines the terms of nearly any kind of new business relationship. And it's really used to set the foundation for a partnership by laying out the specific objectives and milestones and what are the final outcomes that are being sought out in that partnership. We do have a resource linked here as well that really just kind of is another template that gives you what you need to know if that's something that you're interested in doing. So we are getting close to concluding our first session, and we do have some recommended next steps for you all. Our first one is to watch both sessions of this series, as well as we have a video series already created around sustainability that was created with different youth leaders. Feel free to share these videos, watch these videos. They go into more detail about sustainability in a different way than we have today. Develop and refresh your organization or refresh your organization's logic model. Remember earlier I mentioned that if you already have a logic model, it's good to make sure that you are, updating that logic model with the way things are changing. Nowadays, I would definitely say looking at it and meet at least yearly. Also, develop a refresh strategic plan. If you don't already have one, strategic plans are definitely helpful in creating a foundation, really helping you figure out what is that your organization aims to do and how you're going to get there. So if you don't already have one, please create one. And if you do, again, make sure you're checking and updating that annually. If you need any help from us, there is a link here to request training or consultation support from Intact. You can request some support specific from Youth Move through this link, as well as if you want to access any of the other partners throughout the center. As Johanna highlighted earlier in the presentation, we know that we have linked a ton of different resources for you all throughout, and we wanted to make sure that we put them in one good list for you all to reference. Feel free to pull this list and share it with your communities, your young people. These are a lot of good foundational documents as you begin to think and plan Depending on the level of reading or information that you're looking for, there's things here for everyone. So there are things to consider here that are like short one-pagers that gives you basic information about strategic planning, how to create logic models, measuring success and evaluation. So definitely looking at those if you're looking for something short. All right, I'll stop with the resources. As you all can see, I'm super excited to share these resources with you. If you all need to get in contact with us, here's our contact information. Feel free, like I said, to reach out to the center for more information or to request TA. All of the center's contact information is here, the email, phone number, website. Please make sure that if you are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, that you go and like and follow these pages because we are always actively sharing information on trainings that are happening, resources that are being developed. All of those things are also being highlighted on our social media, and we all are always on social media.
Everyone for your interest in sustaining youth-driven programming in your community and for learning with us today. Thank you all.
Thanks.